For this project, I'm using titanium white from Deco Americana, and I'm using a blue from Folk Art. Then I'm using Aqua Sky from Deco Art, and I'm using Purple Rain from Deco Art also for this project. The tools we'll be using are from Amazon, and you can pick them up very easily. They're acrylic rods in various sizes. The canvas will already have grid lines or guidelines on it, and we will use the pink acrylic rod to place our first dot in the center. Make sure you have enough paint and add your dot perpendicular, straight up and down, to create your very first dot on this canvas. Once your center dot is placed, we're going to use the green rod or stylus to put 8 tiny dots around the circle on each of the guide marks. Try not to touch the white center dot, but place it as close as you can to the white dot all the way around. I usually do north, south, east, west, and then place a dot in between those. Try to even it up as best as you can so they're all centered and evenly spaced around the white circle. Now we're going to take the clear acrylic rod. I believe this is the smallest or the medium, and we're going to place a dot above and in the middle of the previous dots we just did. Try not to touch those 2 little dots, and try to place them as evenly as you can all the way around with your acrylic rod. And this should be within the circle, but if you go outside of the circle, that's okay too. You just want to get these 8 dots placed around the previous row of dots. Now we'll take the large rod, clear rod, and we're going to place a darker color the same way we applied the previous dots, in between the 2 circles, but not touching, all the way around, just like we did before. Make sure that you try to get them as even as you possibly can and not touching the previous row. And this takes time, so just go slowly and focus on the task at hand of placing the dots evenly all the way around, just like before. Now we're going to take that large clear rod and we're going to use the same color, and we're going to do the same exact thing. Place a dot in between the 2 dots without touching them as close as you can, and go all the way around just like the previous dots. We're starting to form a little pattern here, and try not to touch the other 2 dots if you can. Just remember to breathe and take your time. And you might need to clean off your rod every now and again so that the dots are the same size. Sometimes paint buildup can make them uneven, so just be a little focused on that. Here we're going to take our nail stylus, and with the large end we're going to place a white dot above the previous row of dots we just did, and I try to line up all the dots so they're even when I place that top dot. So if you see my hand kind of going up between them, It's just so that I can keep that even as best as I possibly can to line it up with that lighter dot so that on top of that blue, it's in alignment with all the dots, so they're not uneven. Sometimes, it might be a little uneven, but that's okay. So just take your time, try to line up the dots as best you can, and this ensures a little more cohesive piece later on because we're going to be doing what is called walking the dots with the other end of the tool. We're going to be doing that after we get all these dots on. We're going to do what we call walking the dots around each of the blue dots. So now we're going to take the small end, we're going to go back to the white, and we're going to place a dot above the blue next to the white and slowly walk it all the way down. And each time you place a dot, the paint gets smaller and smaller. So you do this around each side. I go around one side all the way around the canvas, as you can see right here. So I place a dot and then I just keep walking those dots till they get smaller and smaller. And what we're doing here is creating what we call a petal shape. And if you can, try to place the same number of dots around as you can. Sometimes you can only fit a few, sometimes you can fit all of them, but try to keep that in mind when you're walking your dots. And the reason I go around one side is because sometimes it's easier when you do one side and then you try to do the other side and they aren't as cohesive or evenly spaced. So I learned this technique from other artists, and you just go all the way around on one side, and then I'm going to start from the bottom up for this side. So see how I'm closer to myself, and then I walk up. That way it ensures a more evenly placed dot around that side. So you just keep going around the petal and walking the dots until you get all of the petals done. And also, if you feel your dots aren't as even, try to wipe off your tool and then re-add the dots or grab more paint. It makes everything a little more even if you wipe your tool off from time to time so the paint doesn't accumulate on there. Now I'm taking the blue rod and I'm going to dip that into the purple paint, and I'm going to make a dot in between those petals we just did as low as possible but without touching the white dots. And we are going to do that all the way around the petals that we just created. And remember to wipe off your tool every now and again so the paint doesn't accumulate and make the dots different sizes. And now we're going to take our green nail stylus, and with the large end, we're going to create a white dot above the purple dots. Try to get them in line as we've been doing, and then go all the way around each purple dot and place a dot just slightly higher, not too much, but right at the tip of the purple dot we just created. And now we're going to use the small end of the green stylus We're going to pick up some white paint and we are going to walk our dots. So I like to go on one side all the way around and try to make sure it's lined up. That one wasn't so lined up, so I'm going to use my Q-tip that I got slightly damp, not soaking wet, but a little wet. And then you can kind of put the tip of that by there and kind of whoosh it away. And then you can also use black paint to fix that mistake if it's still there. This is a little fix you can do. So now we'll wait for that to dry a little bit. And then we're going to place our dot, try to get it lined up better with the center of that purple dot. And now we can continue walking the dots on one side all the way around. And then we're going to start on the other side and go all the way around, just like we did with the blue dots. With the white walking dots, we're going to do the same thing here. And now we're going to use the pink rod and we're going to take that same purple and we're going to do the same thing. Make sure you get enough on there and you're going to go in between the petals you just created and you're going to put the larger dot in between those petals all the way around and just try to get it as centered as you can and lined up as best as you can. And now we're going to take our green stylus tool and do the same thing. We're going to take the large end, we're going to pick up some white paint, and we're going to place our dot above that purple dot we just put down. and we're going to try to line it up as best as we can. And then we're going to place it all the way around again as we try to line it up as evenly as we possibly can. And now we're going to take the small end of our stylus and we're going to do the same thing we did previously. We're going to walk the dots all down one side all the way around. And then we'll turn our work and we'll go down the other side all the way around so that we've created another petal. Now we're going to take the large clear rod and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to place a dot above the petals we just created on all of the petals, all the way around with the large rod. Place a white dot above, and it is going to be bigger, but that's okay. That's part of the creation of this pattern. So we'll try to line it up as best as we can again. And do you see how I'm going a little higher? Because I really want to create more of a pointed petal, or, you know, so we're going just a little higher than normal. There's a little space between the petal and the dot we're placing. And we're going to do this all the way around with the large clear rod. And that one I accidentally put too close, so I'm going to use a Q-tip again, and we're going to clean that dot off so that we can place it right. So you just roll the Q-tip, roll it, and it helps. Turn it over, use the other side. Try to get as much up as you can without smushing your dots that you just placed. Sometimes you can't help it, but and then now we're going to place it slightly higher, and then that worked just fine. So we've placed all our big dots. Now what we're going to do is take the medium clear rod, and we're going to place dots on either side. We're going to walk dots eventually, but we kind of want these to be a little bit bigger. So we're going to go on either side of that big dot we just placed, just like so. And we're going to use the medium clear rod for those dots all the way around. Here we're going to use the small clear rod, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to place dots right next to the previous dot we did, but we're not going to walk all the way around. We're just going to place the dots there. And now we're going to take our green stylus, the large end, and we're going to finish walking the dots all the way around. We're going to walk the dots down. See how pretty that looks? It made kind of a different shaped petal, but so we're going to create our walking our dots with the green, large end of the green tool all the way around. And here we're going to take the large end of the green tool and we're going to pick up some of that light blue paint and we're going to walk some dots in a straight line in between each petal, right at the tip of the petals. That's why these guidelines sometimes come in handy. So we're going to walk all the way down and we're going to walk the dots so they'll get smaller and smaller. We'll start with a large dot and then we'll slowly walk it down and try to go as straight as possible. I kind of hit my paint together there, but it's okay. Just need to try to be mindful and go slow. Take your time and just walk your dots all the way down. And we'll do this all the way around. And now we're going to take the purple rod and we're going to take the dark blue paint and we're going to create a center dot above that white dot. We don't want to cover all the white. We still want some of that to show, but we just want to place a dot in the center. And then with the clear medium rod, we're going to use the dark blue and we're going to place a top dot on the tip of that petal we just did. So we're going to go all the way around and place a top dot. Now, you need to wait for the paint to dry so that you don't mush it, the underneath coat. I know how to do this, so I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but for you, I would wait for it to be dry because you don't want to disturb the paint underneath. And then go all the way around and place a dot on all of the tips of the petals that we just created. And now we're going to take the small clear rod and we're going to do the same thing with the dark blue on the two circles next to the large one, the two dots next to it. So we'll do this all the way around for each of the petals. And then we're going to take the large end of the stylus tool and we're going to grab the blue paint and put a dot on the other dots that we placed previously. So we're going to do this all the way around, putting top dots on those last two white top dots all the way around. And now we're going to create lighter dots. So we're going to take that aqua sky, the medium blue, and we're going to add some white to it to make it a little lighter than what we already have, because now we're going to do what we call top dots. And you want to make sure that the dots below are dry. So let your paint dry, your previous paint dry, before you start adding all these top dots. That's my advice. So we're going to create a light blue, mixing some white into the light blue. And now we're going to take the dark blue and do the same thing. We're going to lighten it up so it's lighter than what we used on our painting so far. So we're just going to keep adding white until it gets lighter and lighter to the color where it's going to be a contrast to what we previously put down. And then we're going to do the same with our purple. We're going to put our purple and we're going to add white to that to make it a lot lighter. We want contrasting colors, but in the same family. So just adding white will lighten that up quite a bit. And now we're going to take the large end of our stylus and use that light blue. I could have even made it a lot lighter. And we're going to top dot on that row of the light blue dots that we placed. And I wish I would have created that just a little bit lighter. You'll see later. So we're going to do that on all those light or all those light blue dots. We're going to put the lighter blue on top of that. And then we're going to clean off our tool. And then we're going to take our small clear rod and we're going to pick up that the dark blue, but the lighter version of it. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put some little top dots. We don't want to cover the previous dot. And here I'm almost covering it, but you can still see some of the blue, the dark blue coming out. So you don't want to cover the dots. You just want to enhance them. It gives it a 3D effect. So we're going to do that all the way around. And now we're going to take the medium clear rod and do the same thing. We're going to pick up that lighter dark blue and place it on those previous dots, row of dark blue dots, and see how you can still see the dark blue coming through. So you just want to place a little top dot on there for the 3D effect. And now we're taking the large clear rod and we're going to do the same thing, but with the purple. We're going to take that lighter color we created and we're going to go all the way around. On each dot, we're going to place a lighter dot. And now we're going to take the purple rod and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pick up that lighter purple paint and we're going to put a dot on all of those large purple dots in the center. Try to center it as best you can and see you can still see that purple peeking through. It gives it a really nice 3D effect, and we're going to do that all the way around. And now we're going to take that clear rod, I believe it was the medium rod, and we're going to pick up some light blue paint and put it on top of the center dot that we placed, just like so. And you are done. After your painting is completely dry, use a baby wipe and just gently in circular motions wipe off the guide marks that you used previously, and just very gentle, just go through your whole painting and you can get all these white chalk marks off, but just be gentle and make sure that your painting is completely dry. I'd wait a few days just to make absolutely sure that it's dry. So I hope this helps and I hope you loved the tutorial. This was another piece that I added at the end of this tutorial that I had previously worked on. So it's not the one in the tutorial, but it had the guide marks on there so that I could show you how to get rid of them. And remember, just circular motions and be gentle so you don't rub the paint off.